Presence. What is vibing? This is Vish, and today I'll be talking to you all about when you should go to bed. And this is going to be an interesting as well as relatively hypocritical video because it is currently 1:11 a.m. and I was kind of contemplating doing this video, but I have this almost as a non-negotiable now. This is day 28 of uploading twice a day. One video being a South degree reaction video, and the second video being a realization video. Now, you might be noticing a little shift with regards to this frame and distance, because I usually am right here. I've been getting a few pointers from people to do this, and before I get into the depth of the topic of when you should go to bed, I'm going to quickly reflect on why I made this change. So, really interestingly, and I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but someone from the South Guru YouTube channel team actually reached out to me. And so if you're watching, not sure if I should say your name or not, so I'm not going to say it. I will want to thank you very much and maybe make another video about this. And he provided so many beautiful pointers and advice, so very grateful for him. And someone like him as well as others have definitely recommended giving this distance. Is this more distance, or would you require even more distance? Comment down below. I actually would love to hear what you think. And if you feel like this is the good distance, then, or optimal distance, comment that down below. Or if you find that the close-up thing was what you preferred, please feel free to comment that down below as well. Just let me know what you prefer, because that will help me make these videos more, at the end, let's just say, optimally for your viewer experience. Now, the reason why I even start off doing this enclosed type of video was, I don't know, I tend to be very unique in terms of how I go about doing things. And so just doing that really, I thought, would add a level of personal connection. And I do realize I'm no big YouTuber yet. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of spice it up and really, I'm sure y'all have seen vlogs where it's like kind of like this and, you know, they're moving around. Experimented with that too initially, and it seemed like a lot of people were noticing I was getting very just clumsy because I was moving a lot the camera. So I was like, okay, let's move on to this. And the long story short answer to why I'm even changing or adapting towards what people are asking for is because at the end, the goal that I have really is just to share very similar things. Let's call it consciousness energy with you all. Now, this doesn't mean that I am full of consciousness and I'm a woke individual. I'm on the journey too, but I want to hopefully share this path and energy and level of awareness that I have with you all. And so, with that being said, I want to be also conscious or aware of what will have the most impact on you all, right? As I've learned from lots of people, actually, even Eckhart himself, he said this beautifully, that when you are able to sit still with, let's say, a tree, and this is the realization I've had. So I know this is getting off topic, but this is a pop. And another real quick reason as to why I do this is because I love sharing. And it's really nice to just create like a series. I'm just sharing things I realize versus just, you know, I could journal too, I guess, but this is nice sharing. Anyways, hopefully you're hopping on this journey, and if not, that's okay. You can hop on the ride whenever you want. So, yes, when you're sitting still with, let's just say, a tree, right? So you're, in a way, you see consciousness, again, as I've realized and experienced, you're aware. We all know that we're aware, but usually our awareness is focused on specific things, but usually it's actually distracted. It's focused in a way, but it's unconsciously focused. See, that's a distraction. A distraction is when you're unconsciously focused on something. So when you're unconsciously focused on something or you're distracted, we tend to be having a focus or awareness of only things like thoughts, feelings, and maybe sometimes this real world existential, as we like to call it. Most of the time we're actually not even there. So with that being said, where I'm trying to go with this is When you're able to bring about awareness to awareness, or be conscious of being conscious, that is true transcendence, at least as I've realized. So you do that, let's just say with a tree, for instance, you're actually helping it become aware of itself. You are truly helping spread consciousness. Now, this might not make complete sense to you if you haven't experienced this, and full transparency, I don't even know if I've experienced this, but it just makes sense, and that's why I'm sharing it with you all. So with that being said, it's really just, at the end, to connect it all, I really just want to help make the most impact. And so if I can make one tree conscious, quote unquote, this is for the analogy's sake, then cool. But if I can make 100 trees conscious, let me put aside the egoic mind preference. So if I want to do this, I want to do that. So the same thing applies. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, I'm sure people have this whole, let's focus on the simple. And even if I could change one person's lives, yes, it would mean the world, sure. But what if you literally had an option to change 100 people's lives versus a single person's life? Big difference, right? And assume it would take relatively the same energy, right? Just putting your ego down, or not even down, just setting it aside. That's all. That's why I am very open to adapting. So, wow, okay, that was a good amount of time. Let's get into the main question topic, which is when you should go to bed. So, first off, as I've realized, and this is a pop I've had relatively recently, a year ago maybe, a little more than that, which was with the advent of technology. Again, you see, technology itself is not bad or good. The mind itself is also not bad or good. It comes down to how you use it. How do you use it, or what determines how well you use it, more importantly? Well, that comes down to how conscious you are. So it really comes down to, again, consciousness. How aware are you? How present are you? Because that is a key. Are you clear? Or are you unclear? Clarity will allow for seeing through things in a seamless manner, which will in turn help you be efficient at what you're doing. So the same principle applies here. But you see, because of the level of awareness that most of society has, we have become similar to the way most of us have become slaves to the mind, whereas it should be the other way around. It's a beautiful saying, actually. It's essentially that the mind can be your best. Make the mind, don't be the mind, something along the lines of how you shouldn't be the mind's slave, but let the mind be your servant, right? Because, long story short, that's how it's been for a while. But now, we're not only falling trap or slave to the mind, but now also technology. For instance, this phone, and I'll be fully transparent about this, used to be relatively unconsciously addicted to it, whether it was watching YouTube videos or whatever, random stuff, right? Till late night. I'm not going to even give a specific time, but it's very late. And if you look at the common times people sleep now, right? People sleeping from 10 to 12 is early. It's early, and that is what it used to be late. And the realization pop that I really want to focus on right now is, if you think about it, like, let's go back your parents' generation, or let's say even more back, like your grandparents. I could almost guarantee, regardless of what part of the world they're from, they were sleeping probably by 12 the latest. And there could be edge cases, right? So if that's you, maybe that's the case and that's okay. But the average individual, I would say at least 2 generations ago, now, started off with 2 generations ago, was definitely sleeping anywhere from 10 to 12, and that itself was kind of late. It was probably more or less 8 to 10, I think, or 8 to 11 was the range. And now that whole window has shifted from 8 to 10 or 8 to 11 to 10 to, not even 10, like 12 to 3, 12 to 4. And I could be wrong, honestly. So if you feel like I'm speaking BS, comment down below. I'm open to feedback, but that's just what I've realized. Now, the reason why this is so significant, and you might think, okay, we can adapt to it in evolution, whatever. Cool, so I want to make sure we're good on time, or we're optimal on time, and it's still recording. The key here is that evolution can happen, and it might still occur due to this adaptation of us, in a way abusing ourselves because of the addiction to the technology or late night screen time. But here's the key. Millions of years of evolution, and again, here's the key. It's not just your grandparents that were sleeping at the 8 to 10 time, or 8 to 11 time, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. If you go back their parents and keep going back, that was the time. Roughly, maybe this is a stretch, but at least for hundreds of thousands of years, men were sleeping like that. Men, right? Female or male. And now to change all of that, because that's just literal biological clock that's been created within you in the system, to change it, like thousands of years at least of evolutionary adaptation to a certain time of sleeping, to change all of that in like 2 generations, which is what, like 40 years, if that's even the right interval. I mean, let's just say it's 40 years. 40 years versus 4,000, let's just say, right? That's 1%. It's probably not even 4,000. It's probably 40,000 to be fully transparent. So that's like 0.1%. But now the time that's getting shifted, percentage-wise, we're going from 8 to 11 to roughly, let's say 12. It's essentially 4 hours. 4 hours is roughly, it's like anywhere from 30 to 40%, roughly, I'm speaking rough numbers here, is getting shifted. 30 to 40% our sleep time is getting shifted. And so as a result, look at the difference. In 0.1% of evolutionary change, 40% is actually happening of change. You see, at least if we're 0.1% increasing it, that's fine, right? So, I don't know, I'm just making this up now again, but let's say 8 to 11 went from, this is definitely more in terms of the relative scale, but let's just say it was 9 to 12. That would also be like, okay, but that's not the case. It's getting shifted huge amount, and it's essentially not giving our systems enough time to adapt or to evolve. And that is why you're seeing all these problems arise, whether it's physical or mental health conditions. It's as simple as that. I truly do have realized that is definitely the leading cause for a lot of problems. Not the amount of sleep necessarily, but when we're sleeping. So, long story short, the whole point of this video is to let you know that you should definitely sleep early, and I would honestly cut it at 12, probably the latest. Give the body rest. Treat it, as we've learned, you're not the body, you're not the mind, but give it respect. I mean, you have a beautiful laptop, let's just say, or an Iron Man suit, as I've made in another video. Are you going to just treat it like whatever, garbage, even though you're not that? No, give it the complete care. Do the same for the body. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you taking the time. Make it a great day. Take it joyfully. Presence. Stay conscious, and ecstasy.